This was a study funded by the Gates Foundation. The goal, to see how early a body characteristic like a fingerprint can be used to identify children.
When we first started working on this almost 2.5 years ago, every fingerprint expert we talked to said, oh, you would not be able to capture the fingerprints of children under 2 or under 3.
But now MSU professor Anil Jain says that's no longer the case thanks to the work he did with his team of biometrics researchers. Starting in March of 2015, they traveled to a small town in North India every 3 months to fingerprint the same child for 1 year. Having reliable prints as early as possible allows their health care and vaccinations to be tracked better, especially in developing countries where there's a lack of proper care and record keeping.
Typically what happens is in these countries, in rural areas, a health camp will be set up, so these are not permanent structures. A healthcare worker may come on motorcycle or bicycle and will do the inoculation. But it's very important to know who has been inoculated and who has not been inoculated.
Jen and his researchers observed 300 kids from newborns to 4.5 years old. The first of its kind study used digital scans of their thumbs.
One of the main questions people had not answered is, does the child fingerprint remain the same as the child grows, or does it change? And what we have shown is that if we start observing the child at 6 months, for example, there is no change.
Jen says their study showed that they can ID children 6 months old over 99% of the time based on their thumbprints. So if that's how records are kept, with the touch of a finger, healthcare workers could have access to their medical history. That would give children better access to life-saving immunizations and even nutrition. Jen says the World Food Program is interested in his team's work.
The number of applications is numerous. I mean, it's not just restricted to vaccination. And the question basically is, if we can recognize adults based on fingerprints or face or whatever, why can't we do the same thing for babies? People just have not devoted enough resources to this problem.
His study showed that prior to 6 months, the fingerprint scans weren't reliable because the skin was so soft that the images were often distorted. But maybe in the future, better scan technology could change that. He hopes to make the system work for the first shot given, which is around 1 month old.
Question is, if I take the fingerprints of a 1-month-old baby, can I recognize the same baby 3 years later?
The professor says capturing a child's print can also help ID them in cases of human trafficking and kidnapping. As for his study, the professor plans to continue it on the same children every year for another 4 years so they can better evaluate the use of those prints. Anu Prakash, 7 Action News.